Chapter 6, choose your platform. So you've got a killer product or service and content. Now you're going to deliver your message via a blog. By the way, I'm going to veer off here real quick for people listening. Yes, a blog is now basically the same thing as a web page. You know, early on you had a website. A blog and a website are the same. A blog is, just a much more flexible product, so you don't have to keep paying a developer to change your site. Blogs have these back-end infrastructures that allow you to do this. In the online world, you've got 3 formats to choose from, though some people might do a combination: video, audio, or written. There's a ton of information already out there detailing the minutia of how to use all of these platforms. Rather than waste your time here repeating what's already been said, I've recommended in this chapter some of the best resources available. I'd much rather make sure you understand the global implications of these platforms. That said, the next 3 chapters offer general descriptions and explanations of all the building blocks you'll need to build a successful business through social media. In chapter 10, you'll find an in-depth example of personal brand building that incorporates just about every concept and technique we discuss. This step in building your business is once again all about working your DNA. To my mind, the most effective content medium is video, and that's the one I prefer to focus on. It's just easier to grab people's attention and draw them in, especially a public who reads less and less. I also think letting people see you is a major plus when trying to sell a personal brand. Don't think any subject is off limits for a video blog. If your passion is sales, do a show about sales. Can you imagine Sam, the salesman, who picks a new selling opportunity every day? On Monday, he sells flowers. On Tuesday, he heads to the flea market, and so on throughout the week. Or maybe he takes a new job and chronicles his rise to Salesman of the Year. If you're an accountant, you can still put that on video. I sure as hell don't want to read accounting material, but I'll watch a video if you're good enough to make something like balance sheets or operating profits interesting. And if you infuse your show with your personality and all that makes you unique, all the better. Do that, and your audience will find you. I guarantee it. I use video because I love to talk and I've got a big personality, and that medium is just the most fun for me. But again, do not compromise your DNA. If you're self-conscious in front of the camera but have loads of personality plus a compelling voice, don't force yourself to do a video blog. Do an audio podcast. Think about it. It's not just car buffs who listen to car talks, click and clack, who have a weekly radio show, but also podcasts on NPR. They're funny, they're charismatic, knowledgeable. They could talk in those Boston accents about nothing but carburetors all day and keep people's attention. Do the same thing about photography or coffee or soap or scuba diving. If you have a squeaky voice and you're shy but a brilliant writer, obviously a written blog is your perfect medium. By now, there are plenty of success stories about people who monetized their awesome blogs. Why can't that be you? There are other advantages to blogs. They increase the ability for people to find you through internet searches because their content changes and expands daily. Not so with stagnant websites. Publishing a web page can be very labor intensive and even require learning a little bit of new software. But a parrot can put up a blog page today. It's easy, it's customizable, and it's free. I mean, what else do you want? Even if you already have an e-commerce website or your focus is B2B, you need to start a blog. Though once you see how simple it is to do, you may ditch your old website altogether. Think of it this way. Your website is for communicating logistics and facilitating sales. Your blog is for communicating the essence of your brand. It allows you to expand on your topic in ways that static websites simply can't. For example, if you're a software company, your website will explain what products and services you provide. But in your audio podcast, you can discuss your thoughts on current software trends, or you can interview company leaders whose products you use, and even some who you don't. Explore the topic more fully. That's the real freedom you have with a blog or an audio blog or a video blog. Giving people interested in software the opportunity to get to know you as a living, thinking, interesting human being who happens to know everything they want to know about software will make them that much more likely to want to do business with you. Your blog will be your main home, your central location with a no exceptions open door policy where anyone can find you. It also serves as a storage for all the content you will create, essentially building an archive where people can see how you and your business have evolved and expanded. It is the place where you can talk as loud and as long and as often as in depth as you want. To keep people coming to this home, you'll need to be consistently reaching out and interacting with the online community of people interested in your passion, who are also your potential clients, customers, friends, the whole shebang, really. To do that, you'll need to step up to one of the many online platforms where you will do the bulk of your marketing and social networking. The must-haves. In December of 2008, I spent $7,500 to offer free shipping codes to WineLibrary.com via 3 marketing and advertising channels: a perfectly placed billboard on the New Jersey Turnpike, a direct mail campaign, and a radio buy. The billboard brought in 170 orders. The radio campaign did about 240 orders. Direct mail, we got a little over 300. I Twittered out for free a free shipping code and got 1,700 orders in 48 hours. What this anecdote should prove to you is that the platforms are everything and that the old ones are softening. If they don't adjust soon, they will be gone or at best irrelevant. As it is, these traditional platforms should be only used by the biggest companies who can afford the scale. Television, newspapers, and radio used to be the global platforms. Through these channels, companies and a few lucky, connected individuals could distribute their content to the world within a few days. Now, though all of these platforms have been overshadowed by the biggest platform ever, the internet. Within this global platform are social marketing sub-platforms. And these are the tools you're going to be using to distribute your killer content and your personal brand to the masses. Not in days, but in seconds. The difference between promoting your brand via traditional marketing and advertising mediums and doing it via social networking platforms is like the difference between sending a message by Pony Express and chatting on AOL Instant Messenger. Sure, you could use the former, but there's a good chance that the recipient will have moved on or forgotten about you by the time the message arrives to its destination. Guys, we're bordering on social network platform overload. There are 50 or 60 platforms that people are currently using to distribute business content, and by the time this book comes out, there will be more. And by the way, there are more. We're now looking at 300 plus for sure. But there are only a few major players with which you need to familiarize yourself with. Some have funny names, but otherwise they are no different from the hammers and the buckets of paint and fax machines and telephones that people have used for generations to build businesses to spread the word about whatever they were offering. The rest of this chapter offers an overview of the leading social marketing platforms and the optimal way to use them. WordPress and Tumblr. All other platforms lead to this one. Your home, your destination, your blog. WordPress and Tumblr are the best and most popular blogging platforms currently available. There are others, of course. Blogger, and especially the 6 Apart products are good. But these are the 2 that I've used and liked, so I'm going to talk about them. WordPress is the established leader with the most users. Its design's a little bit busy. It requires a few more steps to get your content up and shared, but it's not difficult to learn. With some practice, in fact, there are some really interesting options available for skilled users. Although, to my mind, there's no reason to bother becoming that skilled. One of its nicest features is an excellent and easy archive system with a search capability, so people can find anything you've ever posted about. And WordPress allows for some sophisticated customization to your page. I'm a big fan of their themes as well. There are the design options you get to choose from when you create a page, and I think they're really elegant. Tumblr, on the other hand, is a very simple design site that is super easy to use. You can post a video and photos on WordPress, but Tumblr directs you to template designed specifically for this kind of content you wish to create, whether text, photo, link, video, or music. Hit create a post, and you're good to go. It's a little known fact, too, that Tumblr is one of the only blogging platforms that will allow you to host your name for free, which can save you hundreds of dollars a year. What this means is that you can identify yourself as SallyDressDesigner.com. Obviously, you have to buy that name first on GoDaddy, instead of SallyDressDesigner.tumblr.com. You have that option on WordPress, too, but if you want to pay for hosting, it's going to end up being SallyDressDesigner.com. Otherwise, it's going to be SallyDressDesigner.wordpress.com. Another advantage to Tumblr is the reblog function. On WordPress, you have to write a new post about a story you read in order to tell others about it. When account users see somebody post something they like on Tumblr, they can hit a button above the story that says reblog, which allows them to quote-unquote tumble it. With that, they're using their blog to extend someone else's story. That is exactly the kind of 2.0 word-of-mouth marketing you want to inspire in your audience so that they will do the same. When using this platform, the most important thing to consider is the user interface of your blog. Consider following buttons as displays to your storefront. They are what will turn one visit into repeat business. Call to action buttons. These incredibly important buttons are all about capture. Subscribe to email, friend me up, follow me, become a fan. All of these are ways to suggest that your users prolong their interaction with your brand. When you're working your butt off on your social networks to bring your community into your domain, it's so that they will click on one of these several buttons. If you tried getting people to friend you or follow you via Facebook and Twitter, you'd come across a spam. So I'm going to jump off the script here a little bit and go a little bit detail into this stuff because this is important. The UI and having these call to action buttons is so imperative. Having follow me on Twitter, fan me on Facebook, is such a big deal. And then things like you see on GaryVaynerchuk.com, like buy the book or check out the seminar or check out this. It's so important. It's like the end caps in a retail store. When you go to Walmart or Target, it's just so important that you guys recognize that those end caps, they're not there for, kicks and giggles. There's a business initiative behind it. And you need to look at your blog that way as well. Above the fold, you need to be able to be followed. You need to capture data, capture their email. Such a big deal. Share functions. These are all about word of mouth. These are the buttons you see like tweet this and Facebook share this and dig this, stumble that, email this. These are huge. These are story extenders. They allow your audience to kind of pass on your stuff at a very low cost. One little click could be sending it to thousands of eyeballs. If you're not putting these in the proper spots on your site, you're making a massive mistake and losing out on a lot of potential, big potential new fans. If you feel uncertain about how to use any of the platforms discussed in this book or anything at all, really, all you have to do is Google your question. Someone out there has likely had the same problem, the same query, the same issue. YouTube's also a great play, guys. I mean, it's video. It's become the second biggest search engine in the world, and it's a great how-to kind of place. I'm not directing you guys to Google or YouTube because I'm lazy. I'm doing it because really, I just know that that's how I get my information. It's how I learned. And nothing you hear here is going to make it easier for you than that is. I mean, that's really the way to go. That being said, if there's anything else I can help you with, feel free to email me at gary@vaynermedia.com. VAYNER media, MEDIA.com. Facebook. If you have not heard of Facebook before, please turn this off and get your ass in gear, because that's pretty much impossible. In the last 5 years, it's clearly become the biggest social network in the world. It's got everybody from Girl Scout troops to grandmas. Facebook is, a place where you can share your photos, your articles, your videos, information about where you're traveling, music you listen to, everything in your private life as much as you'd like to. It's a fairly easy platform. It's fun, and it's kind of interesting. What I like about it is it provides you two places from which you can talk about your business. One is your normal platform, right? Your normal profile, one that most of you guys have. I'm sure a bunch of you have that page now, but there's also another thing, and that's the fan page. The fan page is very interesting. If you're in commerce and if you're listening to this book, you have to have a Facebook fan page. Why, when your user profile can offer so much information, you might ask? Well, because your profile can only have 5,000 friends. And if you're like me and trying to build brand equity and build a business, you don't want to have to turn down the 19,000 pending friend requests like I had on Facebook. It's not only bad business, plenty of those people thought I was a jerk. So, who ever heard of a business with 5,000 customer limits? Your fan page will also allow you to email everybody in one shot. People interact on that page, they join the page, they can see the news feed, and more importantly, when they join it, every one of their friends will see, Sally Thompson has joined the Gary Vaynerchuk fan page. And that's important to see because that becomes word of mouth, which then leads to curiosity, which then leads them to click on your page and check out what you're about. And this is how you start really building a platform, a brand. If you've been using a regular profile or you created a group page for your business, guys, don't take it down. Simply leave it there and have a link to your new fan page. Through your fan page, you should always stay on business-oriented messaging. Some people use their personal profile pages to talk business too, and I'm totally fine with that. That's entirely up to you and your DNA. What you do on Facebook, Twitter, should be an absolute reflection of how you live in your daily life. Experienced business people already know that most networking and brand building has always been done in casual environments. The ball game, the picnic, untangling dogs when you cross leashes. If you talk shop at every cocktail party, strike up conversations with seatmates on airplanes, or hand out your card at your cousin's wedding, then your personal profile should also update everyone who comes to you about what's going on with your business. It's just an extension of everyday life, really, guys. You should occasionally mix things up, though, and let people see and feel your great personality. It's totally possible to include a healthy mix of updates like, I love scrambled eggs for breakfast, or just sold my 1 millionth unit, or in 2 hours I'm hosting an online seminar. Who's in? The most important thing to remember is to be authentic, to be yourself. That authenticity is what will give you the greatest chance of success. There are privacy settings on Facebook that allow you to customize groups of contacts and friends so that some can only see certain parts of your Facebook page, like the information page, where you might want to just put your professional history and not other things like your status updates. I'd love for you to ignore privacy settings because I don't think it's useful to place restrictions on your brand. But if you think it makes you more comfortable and you don't want to expose yourself that much to the whole world, then go ahead and use a filter. There's an inherent business cost, but business costs should never trump personal costs. Twitter. Before I get into this has definitely been the most controversial, social network. There's so many people listening right now saying Twitter's so stupid. But when it comes to business and understanding business, you can't call something stupid that's picked up 70 million users in a year. You'd be really stupid to not try to understand what's going on in there. Twitter will have become a verb. People will tweet just like everyone Googles and Xeroxes. Like Facebook, you use Twitter to put out content, albeit bite-sized 140-character content, and to follow other people and their 140-bit content. Some people react to Twitter with disbelief, like, who the heck wants to hear that I'm having this procedure or that I'm having fish sticks for dinner? But the day I saw it, I knew I was staring at the pulse of society. It was the most game-changing website I've ever seen prior to Facebook. You think people are confused by it now? You should have seen people scratching their heads in January of 2007 when I first started talking about it and using it. Here's what I know. There are plenty of people that do want to know all the details of what you're doing and you're thinking. They just don't want to admit it. We've all got that voyeuristic tendency in us. Twitter's just given us permission to cave into them a bit. But the fact that you can share your dinner preferences with thousands of people instantaneously is not even the top 100 reasons Twitter is the most powerful brand building tool in your toolbox. First, it has incredible endorsement power. When somebody retweets what you're saying, they're saying you're smart or worthy to pay attention to. That comes with a lot of value. The retweet enables anyone to spread whatever content they find profound or solid or funny or good throughout the world very quickly in a very efficient way. Tumblr has the tumble option, which is similar, but Twitter is sizzling hot and mainstream, and there are way more eyeballs on it right now. Thus, it has more value. From the beginning, it was developed to be a mobile platform. So even though Facebook has an app you can use on your phone, Twitter has much more brand equity already in those places and is clearly the go-to social network when it comes to mobile first. Second, it has press release opportunity, allowing companies and businesses to have a closer relationship with their consumer. It closes the 6 degrees of separation to 1. It's also become such a basic tool for leaders to let people know what they're doing, whether it's important, what's on their minds, and allows companies to respond immediately to their customers' concerns. For example, as soon as I read somebody's post that my shipping rates were too expensive at Wine Library, I was immediately able to reach out and address the person's concern. We'll be seeing more and more examples of this going on as the groundswell of tweets continues to explode, and it is going to become a bigger and bigger topic that people talk about, such as when Motrin got hammered by mom bloggers for an ad they perceived disrespectful, or when Amazon fended off accusations of censorship via what the New York Times dubbed as tweet rage because of a cataloging error. Yeah, right. When it erased thousands of books, many of them gay and lesbian themed, from its sales rank and main search page. The thing is, though, businesses don't have to, nor should they, wait until calamity strikes to pay attention to what people are saying. The real beauty of Twitter, and all other social networks for that matter, is that they offer the massive opportunity for every entrepreneur and business to keep constant tabs on what their customers are thinking about them. This is the kind of interaction with the consumer that should be happening with every business every day. Third, Twitter is a research and development tool that allows you to crowdsource. Who needs focus groups or even Nielsen ratings when you can simply tweet out a question like, are you watching what's going on American Idol? Or do you think this should stay on the air? And get direct responses from your followers. You can use Twitter to keep abreast of what the competition is up to, what their consumer reactions are. Saks recently opened a shoe department in New York and worked with the post office to sign it its own zip code. If I were working at Bloomingdale's or Bergdorf, I would have been all over search.twitter to see what people were saying about this marketing platform. Fourth, it allows even your most mundane questions to become opportunities for conversation. Google and YouTube are reliable ways to get information, but they're one-way streets. You ask a question, you get an answer. You can send out emails, but then you're limited to the immediate group of people you know. But if you tweet, is there a PowerPoint expert out there? You're reaching out to thousands of people. And the first thing they'll want to know when they respond is what you're presenting and to whom, which opens up all kinds of chances to talk about what you do and who you are, and bingo, you're building brand equity. Twitter is a two-way street that takes you really, really far, really, really fast. Fifth, it's a great vehicle through which to spread your commerce-driven intentions. If you're listening to this book, you've got commerce-driven intentions. Don't lie. Don't lie. You want to build a brand. You want to sell a product, find a job. You might want to help a charity. That's still commerce-driven intentions. Get those attentions on Twitter, and you'll be amazed at how fast people respond. The best use of Twitter, though, is to lure people to your blog or to your world. Make your 140-character tweets compelling and thoughtful and quality enough to convince people to find out more about you and to consume your content. You can post great content on Twitter. Several people have used Twitter to an amazing effect to build brand equity. But because of the 140-character limit, you have to tweet a lot in order to have the same amount of impact with your content as you would with your blog. Plus, there's always the risk of being perceived as spam when you tweet too much. I think it's more efficient and more effective to link tweets back to your blog. Even those individuals known for their presence on Twitter have links to blogs. Chris Sacca is a huge Twitterer, but he does keep a blog. Granted, he only blogs about once a month. He hasn't asked for my opinion, but I think he could even build more brand equity if he blogged every day or a couple times a week. That would give people even more reasons to hang with him. But to each his own. DNA trumps all. If you're not using Twitter because you're in the camp that believes it's stupid, you're going to lose. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if you think it's stupid. It's free communication, and there is a crap load of users. That in itself has value, and you should understand it and take advantage of it. Use Twitter the same way you use your cell phone or a map or GPS. It's just another opportunity to get closer to people and places that you need. For a very low cost of entry and time, Twitter allows the consumer to tell every person in his world what he thinks is cool, crappy, or interesting. Do your job right, and eventually you can be the cool, interesting subject that gets circulated, which will bring viewers back to your blog, which will get you the attention of people with deep pockets, and which will open up tons of opportunities. 10 years ago, it would have taken you months, if not years, to generate that kind of word of mouth. Now it takes seconds. Oh, by the way, it would have cost you a crapload of money as well. I want to share with you the best business tweet of all time, guys. Here it is. You ready? Write this down. I know, for the third time, you have to pull over the car. What can I do for you? You'll be amazed at the response you get. You're in business to serve your community. Never forget that. I am convinced that we are now living in a day and age where every one of us is only in one business, the customer service business. What we do after that is massively secondary. And the quicker you and your business realize that, the bigger upside you'll have going forward. As of right now, I truly believe that search.twitter.com is the most important site on the internet. It gives you the ability to search any subject matter, and you can even narrow it down to a zip code about anything you do. For example, that's what I did when it used to be called Surmise.com. I searched Chardonnay and Merlot and Pinot Grigio and created scenarios that allowed my fan base, or more importantly, allowed me to build a bigger fan base by extending my arm out, shaking somebody's hand and saying, I can answer your question about Chardonnay. Let's say VaynerMedia was working with Advil. The fact that Advil can go to search.twitter, Team Advil, the advertisers, enter the word headache, and then see all the people that were talking about having a headache. People that in the last couple of minutes said, I have a terrible headache. Or somebody would say, somebody send me a sledgehammer. My head is pounding me. The fact that Advil can publicly @reply that person and say something like, hey, Jillian, I work for Advil and saw you have a headache. Sorry to hear it. I'd love to send you a bottle of our product. DM me back with your address if you're interested. Most people would jump at that opportunity to get free Advil, and it would make Advil much more human, and it would make them care more, and it would create an enormous intimate and personal relationship between brand and consumer. If I do a search right now, I can find that in the last 15 minutes, 30 people have said they're thirsty. This is a golden opportunity for someone in the sports drink business, or the bottled water business, or heck, the wine business. But how do you avoid annoying people, or worse, sounding like spam? Everybody has a different idea of what's annoying. I don't mind hearing from somebody interested in sending me free stuff that I can actually use. And remember, the only way that you, the content provider, can contact anyone is if they choose to follow you. You cannot DM, which stands for direct message, them otherwise. It's the equivalent of extending your hand and allowing someone to choose whether or not to shake your hand. You also want to pitch your message in a very proactive, cool way. You're not telling Jillian to go buy your stuff. You're giving her a chance to try it. You're also not hiding your affiliation with your company. If someone chooses to follow you, they'll see on your profile that you are a manager of the Advil brand. If you stay above board, honest, most people will be willing to listen to what you have to say about your product. But the second you DM someone and they decide you sound slimy, they will unfollow you. Their bullshit detector is better than any spam filter you've ever seen. Don't betray their trust. If your blog is your home, platforms like Twitter and Facebook are your vacation homes. You can't do long-form content on these sites. Well, you can, but it's not really recommended in my opinion. And you need someplace that is a free place to do business where people don't have to be members to see you. Your content permanently resides on your blog, and you use these platforms to distribute your brand and bring eyes back to your home. When the book became available for pre-sale, I used both Twitter and Facebook to bring eyes back to my blog and, crucially, to convert my call to action buttons into brand building opportunities. Here's how. I posted a video on my blog, excitedly making the announcement. I talked about what the book is about and why it means so much to me. Along with the expected links to Barnes & Noble and Amazon, I included a line that said, "Pass this book on to your friends," with links to Twitter and Facebook below. If you chose Twitter, you found a pre-written tweet to send out that included a link back to my blog and, in particular, the video announcing the book. If you chose Facebook, you came upon a message box where you could write a post, then update your page with a link to my blog attached. By the way, I'm going to veer off for a second. These are massively crucial tactics. Word of mouth is on steroids. Word of mouth is the game now. And word of mouth is how you build businesses. Word of mouth is how your grandparents built business. Word of mouth is how every restaurant, every brand has built business. And using and populating these word of mouth tools like Facebook and Twitter can really extend your brand and your story. In addition, I included a button on my blog that said support Gary's book, which led you to a new page in which I thanked you for your interest and provided a widget for the book that you could add to your own website or blog. That page also included the links to Twitter and Facebook and, as always, my email address. Though, as you can tell, I'm a huge fan of Twitter and Facebook, they are becoming household names and the competition there is already pretty fierce. So I'm considering a new strategy. Why not explore some of the other Facebook-like sites, even though they have fewer fish in the pond? True, the ponds are smaller, but their banks aren't swimming with other fishermen either, which means you have a much better chance of walking away with a hefty catch. Some sites that I'm watching closely are the following. Plaxo, which is a professional site, which I haven't delved into just as of yet, but is a big one for me in 2010. High Five, another social network that's much bigger than people recognize. Bebo, which is huge in the UK and the third biggest social network behind Facebook and MySpace. FriendFeed, which is now bought by Facebook, by the way, since I originally wrote the book, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Facebook integrates the FriendFeed features. As we all know, they probably bought the company, though, for the talent. Orkut, which is Google-owned, kind of fading away, but is huge in Brazil, and so if you're trying to hit that market, it's important you follow that site. Flickr. Flickr's really interesting. It's a photo site. I'm going to get into it in a second, but let me add a couple of other things. LinkedIn, which I completely did not talk about in my book when I wrote it and came out in print in October, and you guys are getting the advantage of listening to this and hearing this. I think LinkedIn is making a fierce comeback. I actually never really even used it. A lot of people in a different demo, a more professional demo, have been using it solely. I really think as they open up their API and as they're integrating more and some of the new blood in that company, I'm going to be very intrigued to watch LinkedIn in 2010, and I'm making a big effort to use it heavily. Flickr is a photo sharing site and is definitely a pond worth fishing in. It has a ton of passionate users, though I'm not one of them, for the sole reason that photos don't really speak to my DNA. They do, though, for a lot of other people. Any platform that has loads of search capabilities is an important place to find market opportunities, and there are millions of people searching Flickr. As with all content, you work the content on this site in two ways. You can post photographs so that when people click on them, they find out who you are and they follow you back, or it links directly back to your blog, or you can click on other people's photos, leave comments that will intrigue people to then look at your stuff and link back to you. If your passion is something that photographs well, like birds or jewelry or hairstyling or interior design, it's a place where you can do a lot of damage. If I throw a wine party, I can post pictures of the event, which could pique someone's interest. Or I can put up a label on every wine I've ever discussed on my show and could conceivably draw a lot more traffic to my blog. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, it's insane that I haven't done that. And that's what I said back in October, and I'm starting to do more of it with K. Murph from Wine Library coming in and taking pictures while I do the show, but I'm going to take it even further and do the labels in 2010. See, I'm getting pumped myself reading this thing. Anyone who cares about wine should be able to find me on Flickr, so I better get on that. I admire moo.com, M-O-O.com, because they have used Flickr and Facebook to reinvent an old, tired product. They're in the business card business, notes, and stickers. Customers can use their own photos or upload images from any of the Moo partner sites. You can even print a different image on every business card within a single pack, allowing you to let people choose their favorite one and creating a ready-made conversation piece around your brand. It goes to show you that any product can be huge when approached from a new angle. What I like about Moo is they really went in and owned the social media crowd. They went to a lot of conferences. They gave away a lot of free business cards. This is something a lot of people can learn in traditional business. You could become the brand within the social media sphere by going to the conferences. So if you're a soda or a coffee or a t-shirt company, pens, anything, you can kind of own that niche. And that niche, as it's really called, is very interesting because the users of that space have big social mouths. They're using Facebook and Twitter already, so they're going to spread your message more so than an influential Wall Street crowd, which is going to stay within their confines. Think about that. YouTube and/or Vidler. These are both video platforms that I use and like. YouTube is like an ocean. It's huge. You go out in it, and you can come home with a boatload of fish. But you're also competing against millions of fishermen. Vidler is much smaller, which allows you to see and be seen with greater ease. It also allows you to brand your player so that anyone who watches the video sees your logo on the bottom, which I think has enormous value, especially when people embed your video in different places. If you use YouTube, the YouTube logo appears at the bottom of all their videos. So that's where it gets really interesting to me. Vidler also allows you to tag your videos, which means you can earmark important moments for your viewers by placing a little dot within your video stream linked to any keyword, allowing for an easier search situation. Plus, if somebody wants to find a specific and particular spot in your video, they don't have to sit throughout the whole thing. For example, I do a 30-minute wine show and discuss 3 wines. If you're interested in the 3rd wine, you can go straight to that segment of the video because I'll have it marked. And you don't have to bounce around and click and guess. You can just go exactly where you want to go. This was a huge reason why I switched to Vidler very early on in my career. In hindsight, I still think YouTube has such a powerful presence, and there's so many people in that space that you can't overlook it. But I do love the niche aspects of Vidler. Clearly, YouTube has a larger user base, which can definitely be an advantage. You can embed from either site, which is easy to do by copying and pasting the embedded code. I do give Vidler an enthusiastic thumbs up for the way it takes care of its users. Have you ever wondered how a certain video gets featured on its home site? YouTube is huge and so swamped with video submissions that featured videos are usually a result of random luck, a lot of back-end biz development, and inside deals. Because Vidler is smaller, however, their staff is quickly able to assess new talent on their network and support that talent by featuring it on their homepage. Vidler doesn't wait for you to make it big. They'll give you a shot for a day or two if they think you're good enough. They're great at identifying talent early on. Ustream.tv. There is no way to overstate the importance of Ustream, one of the biggest brand building products that I've used. It's a platform that allows you to launch live video. But the cool part is that there is a chat function which allows you to interact with your audience in real time, much like radio call-in shows. How does the content you post on Ustream differ from what you post on your video blog if that's your preferred medium? Think of your blog as a formal presentation, a prepared speech about a predetermined topic in which you control the message and all the content. Once you've said your piece, you're done. If anyone wishes to challenge you or ask for a clarification or a comment, they certainly can. But some time will pass before they get their answer. By the time you get back to them, you may have to remind them what they asked for in the first place. If you decide to address their question in a follow-up video, you have to hope that they'll come back and hear what you have to say. Ustream, on the other hand, allows you to talk about your brand the way you might do at a cocktail party, which allows you to kind of work the room and find out what's on everybody's mind. By responding to the chats while you're live streaming, you can establish the most powerful and empowering interactive brand experience any customer has ever known. Even live television can't provide this kind of immediacy. It's so sticky. People love to know that they can come in and talk one-on-one. Best of all, it costs you nothing. Ustream is another classic example of the internet platforms that cost the brand and the product nothing to use, yet provides amazing return on its investment. I'm going totally off script right now because I'm freaking pumped, because here's the bottom line. Ustream to me is quickly becoming my #1 platform. Not Twitter, not Facebook, Ustream. Why? Because I go in there and I riff and I'm hanging and I'm chilling with my friends, and more importantly, almost always 300 to 400 people show up immediately. That's right, I snap my fingers. Immediately, 300 to 400 people are in there, and I'm talking, and I'm bouncing ideas off them, and I'm doing Q&A. It allows me to really get intimate with people, and my big goal for 2010 is to do a daily Ustream show. I've been thinking about a show called Tea with Gary V, where I do like a morning show, and we like read the posts from like TechCrunch and TechMeme and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, and kind of talk about what's current event driven. I just find it very fascinating that this live interaction of Ustream has quickly become the best tool in my toolbox, and I think many people are underestimating it. Most people don't understand it. Most people can't do it because it's kind of hard going live and then reading the chat that's coming at you at 100 miles a minute. But the fact of the matter is, if you can pull it off, if you feel like you know your subject well enough to riff and not be prepared like I do, which is like why I dominate the keynote circuit, because I just go up there and riff and I'm not scared because I'm living it. When you live your subject matter, when you know it cold and you don't need to go to Wikipedia or read, a book before you go and give your presentation or make PowerPoints to lead you, when you know it best, then you really have the best chance of dominating. And that is why Ustream is so powerful, because there's no buffer. You're live. They're watching you and they're asking you questions and you can't dodge them. And you've got to show your chops. And if you've got chops, this is a platform you want to be a part of. Natasha Westcoat is an artist known for her candied landscapes and whimsical characters. She is rising in popularity as a result of using social media tools to connect to her audience and engage with her collectors and potential buyers. As a result, her business has grown 50% in 6 months and her business network 80%. In addition to Twitter, she uses Ustream.tv to live stream her paintings in the studio. It began as an experiment, but within a week, she had viewers buying directly from her live online video. Since then, she has used it as a tool for studio sales and auctions. By allowing viewers to watch her create something, it inspires them to buy it directly then and there. I'm riffing off again. I'm on a roll here. I just got one thing for you to think about. One thing to say. QVC. Word of mouth power moves. There are a few additional tools that can add to real boosts in your word of mouth potential. Here they are. Just as it would be a shame to decide that Chardonnay is your favorite wine when you've hardly tried any other varietal, you should try every platform to see which ones work best for you. Now, when I was just getting started, Chris Mott, my camera guy, had to spend hours every night individually loading the blog onto every single platform we were using. Luckily, there are now 2 sites that are doing this service a lot easier. Ping.fm, Ping.fm, is a service that allows you to post a limited amount of text, such as status update, one time, and then automatically distribute the updates to any of over 30 social networks, including Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Flickr, WordPress, Jaiku, FriendFeed, MySpace, and Delicious. Currently, this service does not allow for video, but according to that site, it's coming soon. If you're a video blogger, you must have a TubeMogul account. It's a website that allows you to upload your video once, and then it distributes it across countless video sharing sites for free. It's also a tracking service and offers analytics about who's watching your videos, when and what sites, and how often. I should also riff off real quick and say that blip.tv, BLIP.tv, is also really starting to get in this space and doing an amazing job. Analytics. I use analytics very rarely, and I urge you not to rely too much on them early on, especially. If you have really good business instincts, you're not going to need them. A lot of the times, the stats and percentages related to my business just don't support what my instincts are saying and what I think is true, and I'll trust my gut over numbers any day. What if your analytics tell you that you've only had 7 views on Break.com in 2 months? Are you going to stop posting to that platform? The data are telling you that you should probably drop it, but what you don't know is that one of the 7 viewers is the producer of the Today Show. There's no reason to think that can't happen. The numbers can be a trap that changes your behavior. People see they've only gotten 50 viewers in a few weeks and decided they suck and they stop trying as hard. Or their video catches on and gets watched 1,000 times and they think they've made it and they stop trying as hard. Metrics can be useful, of course, but the effect of your online interactions and the excitement building toward your brand isn't accurately reflected by the number of viewers you have. It's not about how many viewers you have, it's about how passionate they are. If you must use them, analytics should remain a minor league detail. Focus the majority of your attention on your overall brand positioning. I'm going to riff off here a little bit, and I feel like this is one of the great missed opportunities in Crush It. I should have went deeper into this. I think analytics are important. I know that's how you sell things. I know that's how big brands in corporate America work, and I get it. But I'm telling you, it is an absolutely scary pitfall for so many people. They see poor stats, they don't see growth, they see something's going stagnant, and they completely lose focus. They get numbers driven, and it veers you off. I promise you, if you feel it, if you've got good interactions, if you've got great relationships, you're heading in the right direction. Way too many people are being crippled by stats, and they really allow them to define the project. It's devastating to me. And please, and this is the big one, don't look at stats for the first year. Put your head down, grow a beard, a playoff beard, shut your mouth, get to work. Don't look at stats because they're going to hurt you. Facebook Connect is a service that allows new users of your site to skip the long process of registering their personal information. How many hundreds of times have you filled out the boxes asking for your name, address, password, and so on by now by pulling it from their Facebook page? It will also allow Facebook profile data to save them the slog of having to fill out yet again all of the personal information onto the new site. So Facebook Connect is a huge time saver for the viewers. In addition, when a Facebook member clicks Connect with Facebook, an announcement will be sent out to his or her friends. Facebook's newsfeed on his or her wall will show that the user is now a user of your site. By now, you should know why that's a good thing. People with similar tastes to your new users see the newsfeed and say, what's that? And then come and see for themselves. If you're telling a story well and putting out awesome content, there's no reason they won't return and bring more friends, and then on and on and on. And that becomes a process you want to be a part of. We're going to see a lot more of Facebook Connect in the future. It allows such quick interaction and site building that it has the potential to become an omnipresent and necessary as your cell phone and email account. I'm going to veer off real quick for 2 seconds. I truly believe that Facebook's well on its way to becoming the driver's license. And through Facebook Connect, we are going to know everybody's identity, no more hiding. And once Facebook wins that game, once they become the driver's license, it's very easy to become the credit card. Once Facebook becomes the wallet, in my opinion, they will become the most valuable website on the internet. For a comprehensive list of many more tools and applications, go to somewhatfrank.com, somewhatfrank.com, and search social media. Also, check out the following blogs: techcrunch.com, readwriteweb.com, gigaom, gigaom.com, socialtimes.com, Engadget, engadget.com, and a great site, TechMeme, TechMeme, kind of aggregates all this content in one place. Differentiate yourself. Everything we've talked about in this audiobook so far, passion, knowing yourself, personal branding, word of mouth, has always been important to every successful business in history. These social network sites have only changed the game by giving entrepreneurs a reason to ditch the sinking traditional media and advertising platforms in favor of communication methods that open up the markets that would have never been accessible to them, and completely has changed the game in just a few short years. The thing is, just having a presence on these platforms doesn't get you any further ahead of the competition, because most entrepreneurs are getting wise to the need of having a Facebook or Twitter account, not to mention all the other platforms we've discussed. So how are you going to differentiate yourself from all these other clowns? Of course, clowns in the best way. We don't want to diss anybody. Just getting competitive now. You're going to do your content better, that's how. And you're going to do it your way, using the tools we just discussed. Vitamins can give your body a real boost, but they won't do you much good if you don't incorporate exercise, proper nutrition, and even vaccines into your healthy habits. The same goes for these platforms, people. Each one individually gives your personal brand strength and reach, but if you use them together properly, they can turn you into a force to be reckoned with. The other thing you're going to do is accept that just having good content and internet access is not enough to take your business to the top. There are a lot of people who have good content, and everyone has the same access to the same tools. What they don't have, though they may think they do, and what we'll talk about in the next chapter, makes all the difference. After all, lots of people can play the piano, but not everyone is Billy Joel.